everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're back again with our leadership series, and this time with a very amazing person I admire the most. And I've been wanting to get him on the podcast for a very long time. I've been wanting to get to know about this person's journey. So, without further ado, let me invite Divakar to the podcast and we can get started. Hi, Divakar.
Hi, Vandana. Very good morning.
Good morning. So, Divakar, let's get started with your introduction first. I know a lot about you. I've been researching, I've been checking about it, but then we would want audience to also know because if it comes from you, that'll be more authentic, that'll be more relatable. So, please share like about your journey, about how you landed into cybersecurity and how it is.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks a lot for having me on your podcast, Vandana. Although we are connected for a very long time, I think we have a pact that will not meet in Bangalore but elsewhere. Likewise, we are doing this virtually. So I'm really happy to be on your podcast. I started my network security career 17 years ago, and when I'm done with my engineering, I think just like anybody else, I wasn't lucky enough to possibly get into a campus and get a placement, so I had to figure it on my own, right? So what is that I want to do, and tried many things, but I think network security fascinated me the most, and I built the passion over a period and started with an internship from Equine, and then got into the network security. And ever since, didn't look back. I really loved what I do. And 17 years in, first 13 years majorly into banking. I've directly worked with some of the major US banks, small, medium banks as well. And in the last 3 to 4 years, I worked with some startups, some large enterprises in e-commerce, shipping, transport, logistics, and also the crypto space. So that's been the experience and a brief introduction about me.
Thank you so much. It's an amazing to know your journey, but I would definitely want to know about that. How exactly? So you got started as an internship, but then you've come a long way. It's been 17 years journey. So we would want to know about your ups and downs and what are the things or what are the challenges that you faced during this journey, which we can learn from.
Absolutely. So it wasn't a cakewalk when we have started. I think you know the evolution of learning. Back in those days, there wasn't a lot of opportunities to learn through either internet or any digital resources. So we had to reach out to people, gather CBT nuggets, try to get into trainings, whatever is possible, and learned it the hard way. Initially, tried hard, failed, unlearned, and relearned. Those were the days to really hustle, try something out, test it out, and then learn it the hard way. So, being through all that, I think it comes naturally that you have been through all that hustle, and the next generation need not go through that. So, wherever there is a possibility of sharing knowledge and sharing the awareness, we come forward and pay it forward to the community that shaped our careers. That's what I strongly believe in. And creating the next generation leaders, creating the mentorship platforms, spreading the awareness about the cybersecurity is something I love doing. Right. So that's why I'm here today as well. And to talk about the ups and downs, I think those are some of the downs, but there were many ups. I think learning something new, something challenging on job was the most fascinating thing that I loved as an analyst, as an engineer. So I had my own fair share of beautiful learnings, creating new run books, playbooks, new cases, new threat vectors that were exploited in the wild, taught us a lot initially. So it was all experiential learning, practical learning on the job. And I think in the evolution, we have also seen the reactive side of the cybersecurity, which we all have started with, and turned it into a proactive side, building cyber defense centers of late during the last 1 decade, if I have to say. So that's been the fascinating journey for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I've been seeing your journey, and now currently you're also pursuing MBA.
That's right.
So,
So
how
I'm
did you?
pursuing,
Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, pursuing general management program from IIM Bangalore. This was something I wanted to do for a very long time. I wasn't sure why and from where. So I figured it out last year that IAM is that institute, and why is something that had to be very clearly coming across for me. And it was the right program that provides a lot of flexibility while working full time. So I took up the admission, and another 4 months to go, and it will be completed. The program will be completed.
Oh, all the very best for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, in your 17-year journey, you must have seen a lot of lot of changes which are happening to technology. And similarly, now we're talking about AI. So, what are some of the things that people should actually concentrate on? Like AI is being talked about a lot. Like it's the thing right now. But what do you think that what skill people should have as an associate, which can lead them up to a leader? So that they can sustain in this industry, because you have to sustain in this industry for a very long time, and it's ever changing. So what skills do you think that they should have?
If I have to look back and reflect on the evolution of my own learning or how the industry has evolved, I think the trend used to change quite frequently. It used to be years when we have started our careers, but soon it became months or even weeks nowadays. So we see a new advancement in AI or some of the cybersecurity technologies each day with new threat vectors being exploited in the wild. So I believe perpetual learning is the key to survive, to enjoy the cybersecurity career. So one has to really understand the basics, build strong foundations on the basics, and continue to learn a lot of skills within cybersecurity, whether it be on the engineering side, infrastructure analysis, new product development, product lifecycle evaluation. And of late, I think AI had been a big wave sweeping the technologies. So there are four major players, if I have to mention. I think Microsoft Copilot, OpenAI, Perplexity, and I think Gemini. These are the front runners in AI. Having a good understanding of how they are evolving, what are the different LLMs that are coming in. There are multiple GPTs that are being created day in, day out. So I think having a good understanding of all is not possible, but starting off with some of them, having a catch up of what's latest in some of them would do the work. And I think that's how it is going to evolve. So one has to be a perpetual learner. He or she has to continuously look at what's evolving in the market and how the technology is changing, and catching up with the trends is what is most important to stay relevant in the cybersecurity.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree on that. Like stay updated. So how do you stay updated when it comes to the learning process?
Most of my learning happens through digital reading, whether it be blogs, podcasts, most of my social network catch up, peer catch up through LinkedIn and other networking platforms is what I do. I'm not much of a bookworm. Very rarely I touch books, and if I start something, I look forward to complete it in 1 or 2 sittings, sometimes maybe three. So that's how the books are to me. But if not books, mostly digital learning. So, like I said, most of early stage learning had been through CBT nuggets. So, at one
Mm.
point of time, I remember collecting GBs of CBT nuggets, whether it be on Cisco or any other network security technologies. And at one point of time, I realized there's a lot of brain dump sitting in there, and I'm not making the best use of it. And quickly, the evolution of learning has taken shape through internet-based digital learning methods. And whatever you need, it's just a click of a button or mostly a Google search. And most of the basics, I think, I bank on Wikipedia. It provides you a very lucid, a very comprehensive understanding of something. And if I have to dig deep, double click on something, I think it worked really wonderful for me. I go on from there, continue to research on other topics, finding other references, various websites, and sometimes connecting with the author directly or a person who wrote the blog directly, and having a quick chat with them really helped. That's been the evolution of my learning, and I continue to do the same. Mostly digital learning is what I go to, and off late, I think networking with peers had been really helpful. I get to learn a lot from their perspectives, their experiences, being part of several communities.
Yeah. I think that's a one wonderful thing you said about CBT nuggets. But this reminds us that how old school we have been, right? Uh, they'll be sitting somewhere in my hard disks for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember doing CCNA like way long back, and
Exactly.
going through all of them. Yes. So now in this journey, I'm sure you have set up a lot of security programs in the organizations. And every time I speak to a leader, they have a different perspective on setting up a security program. So, how did you set up your own program in the organization that you worked for, or from your experiences? Or what are the challenges that you face during those things, which can help us learn? Because every program is unique, different in its own ways.
Absolutely. So there might not be a sure shot way or a methodology or a framework built in to build a program, cybersecurity program. One really needs to understand the business requirements of an organization that they are working and certain demands of the stakeholders. So it's never a one-man game or a one team that could succeed when it comes to cybersecurity program. A lot of stakeholders, important stakeholders, whether it be the larger part comes from the IT, the internal teams such as finance, HR, broadly legal. When you are setting up some of the defense uh, programs, I think legal is one of the critical stakeholders, as likewise HR as well. So combining together all the uh, energies that we could bring in from different stakeholders was really helpful. So initially, I did not realize this. So based on the instructions provided or requirements provided by the business, we used to go ahead and try to build something. And in the process, we realized how important the stakeholders were. So failed and learned from it, and then reworked on the approach, reached out to the majority stakeholders, sit with them, understand their side of the story, clearly etch out what is that we are trying to build. The messaging has to be very clear. I think communicating that well in advance and creating the right roadmaps will really help so that they can also pitch in and provide the right support needed. And I think over a period, I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the large, small, and also medium entities where I uh, built various cyber portfolios, cybersecurity portfolios, whether it be on the network security side, security operations, scaling them from at one point from 8 customers to 185 customers, starting various services all the way from, I mean, from ground up building security operations to vulnerability management, patch management, then some of the cyber defense services, including leveraging the threat intel, creating the threat hunting groups, threat detection services. All these were some of the larger programs that I fondly worked on. And I'm proud about some of the cyber defense functions that I've built over the last 1 decade at various organizations. So thanks to a lot of stakeholders, the teams that trusted me and who supported in the process to come together and build really strong teams. And it doesn't happen overnight or in a short period. It takes sometimes months or even years to build a strong performing team and see the success. So that is something I have learned the hard way. And once again, thanks to everyone who supported throughout the process and been there for me whenever needed, whether it be stakeholders or the teams, and most importantly, the business stakeholders who had provided a lot of organizational requirements to build these programs.
Right. I think stakeholders play a very big role in making sure that the programs succeed. If the alignment is not right, there is discrepancy always, and security is always seen as like a roadblocker or
Absolutely.
or a thing which is not needed in the organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now CISOs are getting secure seat on the table. So how do you envision that being being still recognized? Because I can see some people are still saying that it is taking time. So I want to understand from your perspective that do you see that actually getting changed?
Absolutely, Vandan. I think the business dynamics have changed post COVID. So I've seen both pre-COVID and post-COVID, how things have evolved, whether it be the macroeconomic conditions and the geopolitical conditions across the world. I think there is a lot of change in the way the business is shifted the dynamics. So as it also impacted a lot of technology spending, whether it be in IT or the cybersecurity. And this is where I think a very open and clear dialogue, a very clear communication between cybersecurity and rest of the organization is very important. So the sponsorship for cybersecurity mostly comes from the executive management based on the risk that was identified that needs to be mitigated, or some of most of the regulated industries, if I have to say, it emerges from the compliance standpoint. So a CISO has the pivotal role in understanding both the compliance requirements and also the risk management that has to be created as a program for an organization, and creating various programs in line with achieving the business outcomes is very important for a CISO. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something that goes down. It cannot be bottom up approach. It has to be top down approach. So it has to be from the business ownership. It has to create a program in such a way that it manages both the risk management and the compliance. And CISO has the accountability to execute on this strategy from the executive leadership. And rest of the stakeholders are someone who needs to be well communicated in order to achieve the required results or the success of the program. So seat at the board or seat at the big table had been in discussion in many panels and come across a lot of discussions. But I think it is CISO's responsibility to be very clear on what is that we are supposed to build in line with the business. It cannot be the other way around. That's my 2 cents and my observation and my learning over the period.
Yeah, I agree on this for sure. Now, from your experience, what are the three learnings that you want to impart into the people who are budding leaders who want to be a leader in cybersecurity?
Sure. Thanks a lot for asking that. I think this is something that's being asked across various platforms and channels. I think continuous learning is the key to enjoy the cybersecurity career. It is not a cakewalk. Most recent generation I've seen, they are fascinated by what cybersecurity is, how fanciful some of the work is, but it will consume you if you are not coming with the right set of basics and right understanding of the various programs, the various methodologies it has. So be a continuous learner. I think number two, be okay to take risks. So you might not have a clear understanding of everything upfront, because cybersecurity is not a program like we discussed that we can build on our own. Cybersecurity has to go in line with the organizational business requirements and satisfying some of these stakeholder needs. So you have risks that needs to be managed, and at the same time you have to secure the organization. So it's like a double-edged sword. It comes with a lot of understanding of the business and stakeholder requirements. So have a clear and open communication. Take risks. If you have to prove a point to stakeholder, there might not be a methodology that could be done upfront. So you have to try out things, build a thesis, and possibly provide that to the business teams for them to understand the real ROI in cybersecurity. And I think the third thing would be uh, open communication and continuous networking. So the evolution of cybersecurity since the ages had been happening, and none of us can be good with anything and everything. So that's where reaching out to the network, learning from the peers, learning from the peer communities, learning from other leaders' experience, sharing our own knowledge and sharing our own awareness is very important. That's where being there out in the network, talking to other leaders, having a good understanding of what's happening across various technologies, getting their recommendations, getting their understanding of how stuff is working in various industries really helps a lot. If one has to grow into a strong leader, it cannot happen by themselves. They have to be in the network and continue to network with and learn from.
So, thank you so much for sharing the learnings. They're wonderful. That you have to be a continuous learner, you have to understand the relationships and network. So, how exactly one can network? Because There are forums, but still people get lost. So what are the things, or what are the places people should make sure to go?
Um, Thanks a lot. That's a great question. I figured it out the hard way many years ago. So very important in networking is to give, not to take. So it's a process of paying it forward. That's what I strongly believe in. So instead of looking at what self-orientation can be possible and what can we achieve out of something, what can we support with? How can we add value to a particular community or to a network is something that really helped me in my early days of networking. So I went with open mindset to unlearn and learn something new. So put aside our own understanding of something and really learn like a nomad, learn like a newbie. Then you have a different understanding of things. So somebody could explain it to you in a much better way. What you know of will actually blow your minds. So that's something I experienced. I thought I know it all, but I realized I don't know much when I started really listening to others and try to understand things in a different perspective. So go with open mind. Look forward to give what you know, and then you will know how much you know, and then you will learn more. And coming to the communities, I think there are so many out there. I would recommend to start off with whatever is closest in your own peer group or peer networks. It could be as simple as having a close network within your own organization, having a good understanding of how other teams are performing, other cyber teams or other IT teams, network teams are doing some of the community work. It could be an open source project that somebody is working on. How could you contribute to that? How could you learn more out of it? Can be starting points. And then I think I look at communities or the network spaces into two different slots. One is the practitioners community, where you get to discuss with fellow analysts, engineers who are executing, who are integrating technologies, continuously evaluating multiple tools or technologies, playing a hands-on game is a really good starting point because that's where you get your hands dirty and experiential learning, practical learning comes out. Then once you grow into senior leader, I think more of a strategic elements would come to play, and this is where a lot of CISO communities would really help you, where you discuss more of the business strategy and potentially looking at what are some of the opportunities for you to uh, rework on your own approach to cybersecurity programs in organization. Industry peers will help a lot. So similar industries, for example, working with large banks, large fintech organizations, there is a small group of their own where you get to understand what other fintechs or banks are using in cybersecurity technologies, how it is working for them, is a good network starting point for me, Vandana.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. Um, I also want to understand, or I also want to know from you, is there anything that you want to share with the audience?
Um, Absolutely. So, like I mentioned, I think the three things, amalgamation of that is what I can rework on. So, continuous learning is the key, and evolution will continue to happen. How the cybersecurity looked maybe when we started the career is not the same, and it is changing every day. Each day there is a new threat vector, there is a new miscreant or a perpetrator trying to do things differently, and catching up with what's latest is the game. And in the process, I think if you enjoy learning continuously different techniques, technologies, methodologies, you will enjoy cybersecurity. But if not, it is not for the faint of the heart. It will consume you if you're not someone who are willing to take the risk and continue to learn, continue to explore. It's not for you. And be always in the know what's happening in the industry, in the network. There are many like-minded people always open to come forward, share, spread the awareness. So if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So be fearless, ask the question that you want to. Reach out to peers in the group, so leaders in the group, look up to someone, look up to mentors, possibly see where you can find some mentorship. And some of these leaders are really amazing. They wouldn't judge you. they would really help you. They go beyond in helping you, and that's what happened in my career. Thanks to many of those leaders who shaped my career and my understanding of the cybersecurity. My humble gratitude to all of them. Thank you so much, Vandana.
Thank you so much, Divakar. It was such a wonderful conversation. We can go on with this for hours, but we have to conclude. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was wonderful to have you and learn from you.
Thanks a lot for having me, Vandana. It was really nice talking to you. Keep rocking.